This time on What's Your Ghost Story, I'm going to take you to one of the most haunted places in northern Illinois and show it to you like you've never seen it before. Of course, it wasn't always smooth sailing. JP Maurer and People Technology is a frequent collaborator when it comes to innovative ways to make my low-budget projects look and sound professional. If you've ever been on one of my tours, I talk about how I like to blend my filmmaking life with my interest in the paranormal. I did a paranormal documentary a full 5 years before the first ghost hunting television show, and the first opportunity I got, I went ghost hunting with a GoPro. Now, with the help of JP and a Parrot 2 Quadcopter, we're going to visit Cuba Road, White Cemtery, and the house on Rainbow Road. You lost propeller right off the top.
The top came off immediately.
That was a tremendous amount of buildup.
Before we hit the road, though, we did some tests and got a little more comfortable at the controls. Just check out how expertly we weaved between these trees.
The trees.
And here's take 2.
And bad timing, though, the wind took it right away.
Yeah. Certainly far from being expert pilots, we were comfortable enough to get some unique views of Cuba Road's White Cemtery and the estate formerly known as the house on Rainbow Road. Located in the northern suburb of Barrington, White Cemtery is an incredibly active site. The small, peaceful cemetery experienced more than its share of unrest, though. The site was a frequent target of vandals until the early 2000s, when motion detectors and security cameras finally made this a secure location. While seeing full-bodied apparitions does happen at the site, the more common sight is ghost lights. Visible, bright balls of light float through the air over the cemetery, just like we were doing. Cuba Road itself is the site of vanishing cars and even an entire funeral procession that eventually turns into White Cemtery before vanishing. Perhaps the most amazing vision seen along Cuba Road is a vanishing house seen near White Cemtery, sometimes even looming in the woods behind the cemetery. Witnesses usually don't notice anything strange about the house until it vanishes. In recent years, witnesses have reported seeing this house engulfed in flames. In addition to seeing these sites from a unique angle, this video is trying to get the ghostly point of view. If there really are spirits floating around this site, I'd like to see it the way they see it. Bearing in mind that electronic equipment commonly malfunctions in haunted sites, I was curious to see if we would have any interference. After all, we were trespassing in spirit airspace. All was going well until we went across the street. These ghost lights are not just limited to the cemetery grounds. People have seen these lights travel from the cemetery across Cuba Road and float over the yards nearby. Attempting to replicate this proved very difficult.
Well, we broke a gear. Yikes.
After replacing several damaged parts, we were finally able to get the shot. Were these parts defective before we took to the sky, making the craft unstable? Or was something literally swatting our copter out of the air? It's impossible to know for sure, but one thing is undeniable. The GoPro camera can really take a beating. The whole Cuba Road area is one of the places that gets the most traffic on the website, What's Your Ghost Story? I've heard so many amazing first-hand encounters. From phantom funeral processions, vanishing cars, even those iconic phantom hitchhikers. I had a friend of mine, Chris, relay to me one time driving down Cuba Road, not ghost hunting, not looking for anything spooky, just getting home. His girlfriend in the front passenger seat happened to notice that he kind of did a double take of something in the rearview mirror. She asked him what it was. He said it was nothing. She pressed him on it. Eventually he came clean and said that when he looked in the rearview mirror, in the back seat, it looked like there was that iconic mask from Scream, just kind of a ghastly white facial expression that was hovering in the space in the back seat. When he looked again, it was still there and it shot off to the side before vanishing.
Good?
Yes. Next, we headed to Rainbow Road, the much gossiped about house. I visited the estate with Mary Serwinski in the summer of 2000.
The house was already burned to the ground, but several other buildings still stood. While the mailbox remained for several more years, now there's only one relic, a towering flagpole that once stood in front of the house. What was once a driveway is now a street that serves the two new houses. This house was once the site of a barn, with silo, doghouse, and even chicken coops. Their driveway runs over what was once tennis courts. This other house was built on previously undeveloped land. Where the house on Rainbow Road once stood is now just a hill, likely still containing the foundation and some of the building material from the original house.
The house on Rainbow Road is an amazing story, and it's, again, one of the things that makes my book great. Not because I did such a great job covering it, but because so many people came and shared their own experiences there. A lot of really creepy first-hand accounts helped make this book really great. For the longest time, this was just a creepy place that had a lot of urban legends associated with it, but we couldn't find a lot of fact to back up why this place might be haunted. Eventually, through the help of you guys, we were able to find a Chicago Tribune article that talked about the death of a young boy named Billy Kokenower who passed away on that property. That information was posted to the website and it was shared as finally a possibility for why some people have seen the ghost of a little boy in this area, not just on the property, but even on Rainbow Road, just beyond what was once the front gates of the property. Until finally Sherry Kokenower, the sister of this young boy who passed away, came up to me. She had no idea that there's a chance that her younger brother, who died tragically and died very young, might still be inhabiting the area, if you will. She was absolutely fascinated and then started to ask her dad questions, and we again shared a lot of information. She shared the police reports that were all taken down at the time, even some of the crime scene photos. But perhaps most importantly, she spoke with her father, who was able to verify that the little boy, William, had the same pajamas that people have seen this ghostly child wearing. And also, on the day of his death, he was wearing a white shirt with blue overalls. Now, people have seen the ghost of a young boy in blue overalls wearing a red shirt, and according to her father, by the time all was said and done, his shirt was absolutely soiled completely red with his blood. Very chilling, very unnerving, very amazing that we get a reverse. We finally see the truth come out after the fact and validate a ghost story, as opposed to the other way around. We always hear about the Eastland disaster or the Chinese massacre in Los Angeles, and then we have ghost stories that emerge from that. Well, this time we know all the ghost stories, but we don't know the facts. Eventually, going back through time, we're able to find the facts and eyewitnesses and validate these ghost stories. But nothing was built exactly on top of the site of this house. So will the other houses on the property, on this estate, will they start to have paranormal phenomena happen at their location? Or will one day, eventually, the exact location where the house stood, will that be developed? And will those new residents encounter some paranormal phenomena? Either Billy's ghost or this dark presence, whatever it is. And for that matter, is that dark presence still there at this site today? A couple of years ago, in October, Dominique Swain and I went there. We did some EVP sessions. We tried to take readings. We didn't find anything at all out of the ordinary. Again, holding all of our investigations at the exact site where the house on Rainbow Road once stood.
Just because we didn't capture any evidence on this one isolated moment doesn't mean there's not still something going on in the area. Though it is true that sometimes demolishing a house or a building does end the hauntings, what was going on in this area was so severe, so extreme, and it went on for many decades. So it's definitely worth continuing to monitor this piece of land.
If anybody has any current information on hauntings in this area, on that site, definitely let me know. Until then, as always, let me know in the comments below or on the website, what's your ghost story?